In every Zelda game, there is sacrifice. Link leaves his home, his childhood, sometimes even his very identity, to walk the path of the hero. Even Midna in Twilight Princess gives up her throne and her world in order to fight alongside Link and defend Hyrule. But then there's Zelda. In Twilight Princess, she does something no other incarnation of the princess has ever done before. She makes this ultimate sacrifice, not with her sword, not with her magic, but with her freedom, her throne, and eventually even her body. By surrendering to Zant, by kneeling to darkness, and by becoming Ganondorf's puppet, Zelda ensures her people's survival. It is the quietest and yet the most devastating sacrifice in Zelda history. And today, we're going to explore why. Let's get into it. When Twilight Princess begins, Hyrule is not a kingdom of light. It is already crumbling under the weight of invasion. Zant, empowered by a mysterious dark force, storms into Hyrule Castle with an army of shadow beasts. For any other ruler, this would be the moment to stand tall, to lead the defense of their people. But Zelda understands something deeper, that to resist here is not bravery, it is doom. The scene is chilling. Zant gives her an ultimatum. Resist, and your soldiers and your people die. Submit, and Hyrule lives on, though shrouded in twilight. And Zelda chooses submission. You don't see her fight, you don't see her argue, you see her fall to her knees, surrendering her power, and condemning herself to a life of imprisonment inside of her own castle. Some people see this as weakness, but if you look closer, this moment is one of incredible strength. Zelda is not afraid to lose her pride, not afraid to bow before evil, if it means even a fraction of her kingdom will survive. This is a ruler who places her people above herself. That decision, that sacrifice, sets the tone for her entire journey in Twilight Princess. From this point forward, Zelda becomes almost a ghost in her own story. She watches silently as the twilight consumes Hyrule. She only appears a handful of times, cloaked like a queen without a throne. Compared to other incarnations, Sheik's defiance in Ocarina of Time, or even Tetra's fiery independence in Wind Waker, this Zelda seems passive, but in truth, her strength is expressed in a different way. She carries herself with patience, with quiet dignity, and with restraint. She accepts humiliation and isolation, and even helplessness, not because she lacks power, but because her sacrifice demands it. When Midna is mortally wounded, Zelda makes a choice that reinforces this theme. She pours her own life force into Midna, nearly fading from existence in the process. This is not just a queen protecting her ally. This is a ruler giving up the last of her strength for the sake of another. A ruler who has already lost everything, and yet is still willing to lose more if it means saving just one more life. It's subtle, it's quiet, but this Zelda may be the most selfless of them all. Her final and greatest sacrifice comes at the end, when Link and Midna confront Ganondorf in the throne room. The Dark Lord doesn't immediately take his beast form. Instead, he seizes Zelda herself. Her body rises into the air, suspended like a marionette. Her eyes glow with an unnatural light, and even one of the most disturbing boss battles in the series. Link is forced to fight Zelda herself, not the princess, but the puppet. This is where Zelda's sacrifice reaches its peak. She is stripped of everything: her crown, her freedom, her will, even her blade. She becomes the weapon of her greatest enemy, turned against the very hero who came to save her. But the most haunting part, Zelda does not resist. There is no struggle, no flicker of rebellion, no secret signal to Link. She is utterly consumed, because deep down, she has already accepted the role of sacrifice. This is the most literal interpretation of what it means to be a ruler who gives everything for her people. She gives herself away completely, even if it means becoming the face of evil. So what does this all mean? Zelda in Twilight Princess is not an action hero. She is not a pirate, or a ninja, or even a strategist. Her story is one of endurance. She suffers humiliation, possession, and even near death. Also, her people might live under the twilight instead of dying in the war. This makes her sacrifice arguably greater than any other incarnation, because it's not just about glory, or battle, or even victory. It's about loss. About choosing to give up everything, even her very self, to prevent greater suffering. And that is why her eventual restoration, when Ganondorf is finally defeated, feels so powerful. The kingdom doesn't just reclaim its princess, but it reclaims a symbol of resilience, a leader who proved that ruling is not always about power, but about the willingness to suffer in silence for the sake of others. It's that kind of heroism that's easy to overlook, but it might be the most realistic form of heroism in all of Zelda. And when we zoom out, Zelda's sacrifice in Twilight Princess fits into this endless cycle set by Demise's curse. Every era, Zelda and Link are reborn to face Ganondorf. Sometimes Zelda fights alongside the hero, sometimes she guides from the shadows, but in this timeline, her role is not to resist, it is to endure. She becomes the vessel of evil, not because she's weak, but because she understands that sometimes survival is more important than resistance. This is what makes Twilight Princess so unique in the Zelda timeline. It asks the question, what if Zelda's greatest contribution is not to fight, but to sacrifice? What if her destiny isn't to win battles, but to lose herself, so that the hero has a chance to succeed? It's a darker, sadder, but incredibly human interpretation of the Princess of Destiny, and it makes her story one of the most haunting in the series. So, when we think of Zelda's greatest moments, it's easy to remember her disguises, her battles, and even her power with the light arrows. But in Twilight Princess, her true greatness lies in her sacrifice. She surrenders her kingdom, she gives away her power, and she even becomes Ganondorf's puppet, all so that way her people can live another day. It is quiet, and it is tragic, but it may just be the most bravest act in the entire Zelda series, because sometimes the greatest strength is not the sword you raise, but it's in the crown you lay down. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next Legend of Zelda video.